Good day, class. What is it? In this video, you're going to learn the differences between linear function and quadratic function. Let's begin with the definition. Linear function is a function of degree 1, while quadratic function is a function of degree 2. Let's have the equation. The linear function can be written in the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Yung m is the slope and the intercept is yung b, y-intercept. And actually, there are different forms of linear function that you learned in grade 8, but this is the common one. Next is, in the quadratic function, in general form, it could be written in y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Or in standard or vertex form, y equals a times the quantity of x minus h squared plus k, where h and k here are the coordinates of the vertex of a quadratic function, which we will discuss in details pagdating na sa equation of quadratic function. Let's have an example. Which of the following equations is a linear function, quadratic function, neither linear nor quadratic? Alright, so for the first equation or function rather, y equals x times the quantity of x minus 1 times the quantity of 2x plus 3. Now, first, we have to simplify this. Simplify muna natin yung dalawang binomials. So, using the FOIL method, we have x times 2x is 2x squared. Next is x times 3 is positive 3x. Next is negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. And last, negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Then combining like terms, y equals x times the quantity of 2x squared. 3x minus 2x is x, bring down minus 3. Then we have to distribute this x inside the parentheses. So y equals x times 2x squared is 2x cubed. X times x is x squared. And x times negative 3 is negative 3x. So if you notice, class, the degree of this function is 3, not 1 or not 2. So therefore, our answer for this function is neither linear nor quadratic. Next equation is y equals 4x plus 11. So look for the degree on the independent variable x, so the degree is 1, therefore this function is linear function. And last equation is y equals 1 minus 2x plus x squared. So the degree of the x variable here is 2, or highest exponent is 2, so therefore it is a quadratic function. Okay, next is difference of these linear and quadratic functions is in terms of table of values. So for the linear function, equal differences in independent variable x produces equal first differences in the dependent variable y. While in the quadratic function, equal differences in the independent variable x produces equal second differences in the dependent variable y. To better understand about the table of values, let us consider the following example. Which of the following table of values represents linear function and quadratic function? Okay, for the first table of values, let us get the differences in y. Ibig sabihin lamang nun, isusubtract natin yung mga values. So, 16 minus 18 is negative 2. And then 18 minus 16 is positive 2. 16 minus 10 is 6. And 10 minus 0 is 10. So, before doing this, make sure lang po na tingnan nyo din po yung sa x variable kung magkakatulad yung differences. So, in the x variable, magkakatulad naman yan na 1. So, negative 1. Negative 2 minus negative 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 minus 0 is negative 1. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. And 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So, dahil magkakatulad ang differences ng x variable, dapat let us consider the differences in y. Kung sa unang pagkuha natin ng differences ay mag-equal yung differences ng y, edi linear function yon. Pero in this example, hindi naman nag-equal yung differences ng y. So, uulitin natin ang pagkuha ng differences. Negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. 2 minus 6 is negative 4. And 6 minus 10 is negative 4. So, ito yung sinasabi natin na equal second differences in y. So, sa pangalawang beses na kumuha tayo ng nag-subtract tayo, naging equal na yung differences. So, this means that the table of values illustrate quadratic function. Next example, so again, in the x variable values, equal differences dapat. Negative 2 times minus negative 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 minus 0 is negative 1. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. And 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So let's have the differences in y values. 13 minus 9 is 4. 9 minus 5 is 4. 5 minus 1 is 4. And 1 minus negative 3 is 4. So sa unang pagkuha natin ng differences sa y values, ay nag-equal na. So, ibig sabihin, ang table of values na ito ay nagpapakita ng linear function. Next difference of these two functions is in terms of graph. So, for the linear function, the graph of linear function is a straight line. And you learned this again in grade 8. Next is the quadratic function. The graph is a smooth curve, which is called a parabola. So, we will going to discuss this parabola pag nasa graph na tayo ng quadratic function. Alright, for the example, which of the following graphs represents quadratic function? First graph. As you can see in the graph, there are several curves. So, hindi siya isang curve. So, that means this is not quadratic function. Kasi ang graph ng quadratic function ay only one smooth curve. Next is the straight line. So, this is not quadratic function because you learned straight line is a linear function. And the last graph, yan. So, kung mapapansin nyo, isang smooth curve lang yan. So, ito yung sinasabi nating parabola. So, this is quadratic function. Pwede yang naka-opens upward or pwede pong opens downward.